So without further ado, let's go to the Zoom machine and say hello to the head coach over at CKB, the one and only Eugene Baremen joining us. Eugene, how are you, sir?
Good day, Ariel. Yeah, what do you think of the fight?
Oh, no pleasantries, no hellos. Okay, we're getting right into it. I like it. I like the fight very much. It was, as I said, I suspected it was going to go the distance. I thought it would be a lot more hotly contested, if you want to say, than the first one. Obviously, Rob, has come some sort of way, long way, short way, whatever you want to say. I scored it, to not beat around the bush, 49-46. I thought Izzy won 4 rounds to 1. I thought the only round that he definitively lost was the 5th. Perhaps you can make a case for another round, but I'm seeing a lot of smart people make a case for Rob, and I just don't get it. So that's my thoughts out of the way. How did you feel about the fight?
Yeah, I mean, I felt comfortable the whole way through the fight, and I'm obviously the worst person to like kind of make an assessment of it in terms of the public, because obviously I might have a bias, but I think 4-1's a good assessment. At a stretch, I don't see it, but maybe 3-2. But to give Robert the fight, I think is you're dealing with an area of where you're going into a space where you're teetering with just not being intelligent.
All right, fair enough. You said it, not me. Were you happy with Izzy's performance?
I was happy. I was happy with his performance. I'm not going to say that was like one of his more outstanding performances, but I'm going to say that he got the job done. Like he got the job done convincingly.
Okay.
And so I'm happy with that.
Was there anything that Rob did that surprised you at all, based off of what he did in the first fight?
No, not really. I predicted, me and Israel and the coaching team predicted that he would wait a lot more. We basically thought it would be a more even mix of him having spurts of aggression and him waiting. And it was exactly that. Instead of last time, he was mainly all a lot of aggression and pushing forward. We thought it would be a bit of a mixture of the two. What actually surprised us more is as we felt the fight was slipping away from Robert, we thought he would risk the biscuit a bit more. But he seemed very content to not come after it as aggressively as we thought he might at the start of each round. So maybe that's got to do with his corner and where his corner advised him in terms of where the fight. But that was perhaps the only thing that that surprised us, is that we expected a lot more aggression, especially as he fell behind, and we had some stuff. We had a couple of traps set up for him, but he just wasn't. He wasn't aggressive. He waited a lot more for Israel than I thought he would.
So you said last week you were predicting a whitewash, right? You thought it would go the distance. You wanted it to go the distance. Is this a whitewash in your opinion? Like, was this the type of fight that you thought when you were predicting last week?
No, I'm not going to say it was a whitewash, because I think Israel could have done better. I thought Israel could have done better. I thought defensively he was good. He just needed a little bit more offense, but that's easier said than done. When you've got a guy waiting who's clearly trying to draw you in, who's truly trying to set a trap, it's a lot easier said than done to just be more aggressive. It's not as simple as just being more aggressive and giving the other fighter what he wants. And so let's say it was convincing, but not the whitewash we wanted. But we're walking away from this like happy with the result and confident that was the right result.
Curious, what could he have done better in your opinion?
Well, he could have there's some couple of things that that I asked him to do to help. You could see that he was struggling with Robert waiting so much, and he was all the waiting was making Israel a little anxious to be aggressive. So there's a couple of things. I asked him to throw some what they call like false leads, like they're not feints, but they're pretending to go in so that you can see what Robert's intentions are a little bit more. Some balk right hands where you throw the right hand but you don't really commit to it. Something to just draw out a little bit more what Robert was going to get, so Israel could see it, and then when he actually wanted to attack, he could be a lot more confident. But for sometimes you're not always able to translate what's going on with the corner and stuff. And he did it a little bit, but not as much as I should. I would have liked him to do more of that. But like at the end of the day, like I said, it was a convincing win. In our opinion.
So as many predicted, Robert did try to wrestle more, and I thought didn't have a lot of success. If you know anything about scoring MMA fights, a takedown doesn't get you. I mean, unless you're doing damage, once you actually take someone to the ground, it's pretty much nothing. There was one point where I thought it was really impressive, where he almost got Izzy's back, and Izzy escaped, and the former kickboxer who everyone said had no ground game. Overall, can you assess how Izzy did on the mat in the grappling exchanges with the wrestling?
I'm very happy with the scrambling. I'm very happy with the scrambling. So, in my gym, like we just, that's part of what we do, is we do a lot of work on scrambling. I was very happy with Israel's scrambling. I would have obviously liked him not to let Robert get the hooks in and stuff, and then again, like another big part of what we do is we practice for scenarios like that, and he dealt with it perfectly. Robert wasn't really did he take advantage of any of those takedowns? In my opinion, not really. There was very little damage taken as a result of those takedowns, like from what I saw. And then, obviously, my opinion doesn't count, but the only opinions that count are the three judges, and they obviously thought something very similar.
So he wins the fight. All seems good. At the very end, I was a little concerned because in the middle of the fight, I don't know. Have you watched the fight at all? Have you guys watched it back?
Nah, I think Israel has. I haven't watched it yet, Ariel. Sorry.
Okay. I just wanted to ask you about one thing. You would know about it, but in the middle of the fight, John Anik mentions that he gets a text from Joe Rogan, who wasn't there, that Rogan thought that Izzy broke his hand. And then Izzy was asked about it. Cormier asked about it, and he was like, "No, this is what I do." There's no broken hand, right? Just to be clear, he did not break his hand. He did not injure his hand in the middle of that fight. There was nothing wrong with the right hand.
Nah, that's more to do with
Okay.
no, not at all. That was actually something to do that I addressed as early as round 2, 3, and 4. Trying to get that right hand side going, but for whatever reason, Robert was making Israel a little anxious to throw, not just the right hand, but the right side. So I managed to get the right side in terms of the leg going a little bit, but I wasn't able to get the right side in terms of the upper body moving the way I should. And there was a block there that I tried to kind of mitigate my way through each round, but I just, for whatever reason, me and him weren't able to successfully get that right hand going the way we wanted to. So it wasn't about a broken hand or anything. It was up here, yeah.
Okay, I like it. The leg kicks were a big part of the attack. I'm assuming that was part of the game plan, right? Not something that he saw in the moment. You guys, you planned on doing that.
Yeah, setting up the leg kicks, putting Robert's body in certain positions where it gave us the leg kick. It's like, obviously at this level, like everybody knows how to block a kick, but
right.
The set up and the putting the fighter in certain positions so you can actually land the leg kick, that was a big part of our game plan.
I thought it was super interesting, but not surprising that Izzy showed up as early as he did to the arena to, I think it was to support his teammates. Now, did he go to the arena and then go back home, or did he stay there the whole time? And either way, were you in favor of him doing that? Because that's a long time to be kind of, in the back and all that stuff. I mean, it's like 7 hours later. So what happened? And were you in favor as opposed to him just like staying at home and going whenever it was time to go?
That kid can deal with anything. Like he's had near 100 fights, and he's had the strangest scenarios happen to him before a fight that you can even think of. So I was happy with whatever he wanted to do. I knew he was going to come and support the guys. That I think it's part of. I think he loves it. I think it's part of his build-up to kind of ride the emotions of his team. It's kind of like it's almost prepares him mentally for what's coming for him, and I think he deals with it very well. He took his blanket and his pillow. I mean, I can put up a photo, send you a photo later, and he's like fast asleep, and we're just all sitting around just doing what we do. So, I mean, that kid can sleep anywhere. He was fast asleep, like properly asleep for 2 or 3 hours at least.
Wow. So he just stayed at the arena?
Stayed at the arena the whole time, yeah.
Wow. And him walking out and visualizing everything beforehand, that this was caught on camera, like going through. I've been in the arena when they go through the rehearsals of the main event walkouts and whatnot. I've never seen a fighter actually be a part of it. Like the actual fighter who they're doing, it's usually like, the production people doing it. He actually was the fill-in for Izzy. He himself was the fill-in. Is that something he has always done? Or did he notice they were doing it and then, I know going in the ring or the cage is a thing, but like going through the full walkout, has he always done that?
He's big on visualization, and he's I think for a lot, if not all of his fights, he's visualizes how the fight will go from that minute he steps out into the lights, and he's always done that. And recent times, going back to Melbourne, going back to the first fight, that's when I first noticed him asking the UFC if he could get out there and do the full walk and his full routine. And I think he might have done that ever since.
Wow.
If he's been able to be granted access. So, yeah, I did see him. That was on actually the closed circuit TV that they had at the arena. So I saw. We didn't even know he'd gone. Like we just looked over and he was gone.
Wow.
He left with a bunch of the guys, and then we just saw him up on the camera, facing off with one of the sound people. I think he was doing.
Yes. That is amazing.
Yeah.
Did you have a chance to? I mean, obviously a lot was going on, but did you see Jared Cannonier's fight at all?
I did see little bits and pieces of it. Yeah, I did actually.
What'd you think?
It was a terrific fight. Brunson was looking very, very good. I thought Brunson's game plan was superb. I thought, but like Jared Cannonier, like you can have everything going your way against Jared Cannonier. You can have the perfect game plan and you have great strategy, but Jared Cannonier is one of those guys that can turn the fight in the blink of an eye, right? So that's essentially what happened. But I thought he was losing before that.
Me too. Is he next for Izzy?
You reckon?
I don't know. I'm asking you.
Could be.
Who else is there?
Well, I've already.
Don't tell me Darren Till again, you coach. I mean, come on. It'll kill me if you say that.
I got this devious little manager that I work very, very closely with, who manages another person who speaks, who talks a lot.
Yeah.
And who's very controversial.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Maybe this devious little manager is trying to take advantage of a situation of both managing both two fighters.
Timothy. Would you be okay with that? Do you think that that Sean has earned that shot?
No, I think Jared's in probably the best position, but Jared shouldn't. Like Jared and his team, they still got to. There's still some work to be done. There's still some business to be sorted out, and Sean Strickland's on 5 or 6 fight win streak, and Jared's on 2, I believe. So Jared's got the higher position, but like nothing's ever safe, and it's not my job to make like Jared Cannonier's team feel safe and tell them that everything's cheery and stuff. So yeah, there's still many things that could still happen in this game, and you got to get your name on that dotted line.
Yeah,
and then it's signed, sealed, and delivered. So I heard Timothy did mention he's coming on.
Yeah.
And I would like you to really put him through the ringer on this one. And
wow.
I want you to make his interview a little tougher than you usually. You're always very nice to Tim, and I think you should quit being nice to him. He's not as nice a guy as you make him out to be. I would
really.
You got to quiz him on about that contract, all the questions that I couldn't answer.
Okay.
And then I want you to talk about Sean Strickland. And you can even talk about Jack Hermanson, because I think he's managing too many middleweights.
Wow. So there's a conflict of interest, is what you're saying. There's a bit of a whose side is he on? You want loyalty. You want just one middleweight on the roster.
I think so.
You're saying that Tim is one of the bad guys in this business, not one of the. I thought he was one of the good guys. If
he's managing one of our opponents, then
yeah, that is weird. You got to make a choice.
Which side is he on? Right?
Okay. I can't wait to ask him that. He'll be on the show on Wednesday, so I will ask him that. All right, so that's interesting. You just threw me a curveball. I'll mention this to Jared. He'll be up on the show as well later on. So you're not on. So you don't know any of this because you're not on social media at all, right? You have no Twitter, no Instagram.
I don't have social media at all, and 100% one of the best things I've found is, especially after a fight, is to just stay off the internet, because it's a terrible place.
Yes. Have you always had it? Have you always believed in that, or was there a point where you did have social media?
No, I've never gravitated towards social media. I definitely think it's one of the most terrible things on this planet at the moment.
Do you try to get your fighters not to use it?
There was a stage way back then when I thought I could convince them that it's also the most terrible thing in the world. But then the world changes fast, Ariel.
Yes.
And, the part of the modern game is you have to have the higher your profile you can get, the better it is for you. So it's easy for me to not have social media. It's a lot harder for these fighters to not have social media. But I do try and encourage them to understand which people's opinions count.
Right.
And which people's do not. And so then they can make an assessment for themselves.
So where do you go from here? Because you're leaving Houston today, right? Where are you going?
I'm going to Las Vegas for 1 week, and then I'm flying to Sydney for 2 weeks, and then I'm flying home.
So
3 weeks.
Is there an update? There's an update on your situation. You can go home in 3 weeks.
Yes, we have worked with the UFC, and we've got ourselves. They've been kind enough to give us an Airbnb in Las Vegas, and they have got us an Airbnb in Sydney and Wollongong. So we're going to go and train with Volk for a couple of weeks. He started his camp. Izzy, however, will join us a little bit later, probably in Sydney, because he is going to New York to do some sponsorship and Puma stuff and UFC stuff. Then he's going to fly to London and see Darren Till, and they're going to work on
really
there and see if they can get a win. We're just going to see if we can get Darren Till a win. Israel's going to give him a hand.
Stop it. What are you talking about?
No, I don't know. I don't know why. I actually don't know why Israel's going to London, but let Tim have some business over there. But
all right.
If we do run into Darren Till, we're going to try and get him that win, because maybe he can leapfrog Strickland and Cannonier.
Right.
You never know.
Yeah, all he needs is one win. We've been trying to get him that win for a couple of years. You just need that one win, and then you could justify it. Will you be in London with Dan Hooker?
Yes, I will be. I'm going to go. That's why I'm trying to get home, because those guys are in their camp. I'll go from London. I'll go to London with Dan, and then I'll fly straight across to Kaikara's fighting Askarov in Columbus, and then I'll rush home maybe to Sydney, and I'll do Volk. Volk will be preparing for the Zombie, and that'll be in Jacksonville soon after that. So busy next few weeks. And
I'm going to let you go in a second, because I know you have to head out. But Blood Diamond, obviously it didn't go his way. Carlos, it did go his way. Carlos Ulberg. can I just get your thoughts on Blood Diamond's debut and how you? I mean, obviously it didn't go his way, but how you felt about it?
I mean, I'm very, very, very disappointed. And Bloods is even more disappointed. It's been a very, very emotional couple of, last couple of days for Blood Diamond. But when you lose like that, and I've had a few fighters that have lost like that. Dan Hooker's lost like that. When you just get caught early and you don't get a chance to show the people in the world what you're capable of, it's heart wrenching. It's really heart wrenching. But look, this sometimes happens, and we all know that Blood Diamond's a world-class fighter. And in similar fashion to what happened to Olberg, Carlos Olberg, he has to just come back from this and prove it. He has to prove it. He has to prove it to the world. He has to prove it to the UFC. And he has to prove it, to Sean Shelby that he deserves to be where he is.
So is he back in June, right? That's the hope?
Yeah, we're definitely going to take June. Like, we want to try and fighting in June is not going to get us 5 fights, but fighting in June will possibly get us 4 this year.
Because when he said that, I got a lot of people, right? They sent me all this hate mail on, hate tweets, I should say, social media. Like we said, toxic place. I thought you said he was going to fight 5 times. Well, I was like, well, first of all, I didn't say that. And second of all, I mean, what do you want me to say? That's what he said, June. He said June. So, I mean, to your point, you can get 3-4, but in a perfect world, would you prefer earlier than June?
We could go earlier, but we've been informed that there's just no dates available for us.
Okay.
And this is what I mean. Like, to get 5 is a big ask. Like, to get 5 needs complete cooperation from the UFC. And as you know, this deal had just happened in the final hour. So,
yeah.
We would have to look at doing that next year.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. I hope you guys did you get the French toast, by the way? Did you have it from The Rock? Did you try some?
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Oh, my God.
Thanks to The Rock for that.
I was so jealous. I mean, when he put the fork in and it just it was so soft, like a pillow. Oh, it looked amazing. Amazing. Yeah. Coach, I know you have to go to the airport, so thank you so much for the time. Yeah. I appreciate it. Safe travels to you, and congratulations on the big night Saturday night.
Thank you very much, Cheryl.
All right,
very much.
Take care. There he is, Coach Eugene Baremen, who is the head man over at City Kickboxing.